night, while I was not at the bar, not underage drinking with my not fake ID, my girlfriends and I started talking about how fat we've all gotten. But I've only been eating kale chips, said my friend Catherine, as she didn't take a sip of her not fourth margarita. Only protein bars for me, said Ashley, as she didn't chug down her second Long Island iced tea. And when it was my turn to bemoan what my dad calls my birthing hips, I too struggled to understand why my liquid diet wasn't doing the trick. I mean, this is just cranberry juice, like not touched up with a bit of vodka. Okay, so there was vodka, but just to offset the bitterness of the cranberries. So we ordered another round, raised our glasses, and said cheers to a Livestrong article from November 14th, 2013 that said that my drink contained 190 calories. The calories we've consumed through our drinking hadn't even crossed our mind because we've never seen them listed anywhere. Think about it. I realize I'm correct. And enjoy your aha moment. You're welcome. But Eliza, if every other pre-packaged food and beverage that we ingest has to have a nutrition label, why not alcohol? Nothing? Well, according to crickets, there isn't really a great reason. Which might be why, according to an MSNBC article from July 11th, 2013, the Treasury Department's Alcohol Tax and Trade Bureau has moved to make nutrition labels on alcohol bottles optional. And for a short time. Because that's how we fix long-term problems in the United States. So, in order to fully understand this sobering issue, we will first label our drinking problems, then stumble into some causes, and finally hit some solutions, so that we don't wake up hungover or hanging over our jeans. So, my girlfriends and I all grabbed a fuzzy navel and headed to the dance floor, where I found some problems. Like belly button fuzz, as well as a lack of transparency, voluntary labeling efforts, and bureaucracy. The first problem we'll take a shot of is the lack of transparency in the alcohol business. Currently, consumers do not have access to nutrition labels on alcohol bottles. This leaves us stumbling in the dark about what is actually in our drinks. The San Francisco Chronicle of November 12th, 2013 says that beer companies reject the idea of labeling because they don't want to expose the secret ingredients in their drinks. Now I bet potato chip and ice cream companies wish that they could get by without exposing the secret ingredients in their products, but they can't because consumers need transparency from those companies, and the same should obviously go for alcohol. Which leads me to my next funneling point. The current option to put nutrition labels on alcohol is kept voluntary for companies. The Huffington Post of March 28th, 2013 says that the current option to put nutrition labels on alcohol is kept just that, optional, and only for a short time, which is yet to be determined. So I understand that Miller 64 only has 64 calories, but what about Captain Morgan or Malibu Rum? How many calories are in those? How are they made? And with what ingredients? The only companies that are going to participate if labeling is kept optional are the ones with deceptively low calorie counts that will benefit from labeling. Next, much like the pain from a shot of tequila, the current option to put nutrition labels on alcohol bottles is sloshed with bureaucracy. And it may contain a worm. The New York Times of March 13th, 2013 says that alcoholic beverage labeling suffers from jurisdictional gaps between the Food and Drug Administration and the Treasury Department's Alcohol Tax and Trade Bureau. The FDA can weigh in on alcohol beverage labeling in only a small number of cases, while the TTB has no institutional expertise in diet or nutrition. An example of this can be seen when looking way back to 2007, when the TTB proposed rules to make alcohol labels mandatory, but never followed through to make those rules final. Excuse me, TTB, did you black out? Now, I know that when it comes to nights of heavy drinking, looking back on those party nights is not the most pleasant thing to do. But this is one terrible decision that we need to revisit. Okay, so now that we've checked on some problems, let's look at some causes. They came into the bar like a lonely sorority girl looking for a date to semi-formal. First, much like the security of the club, alcohol companies are not making a push towards labeling their products. According to WDRBT News in Kentucky on January 29th, beer companies do not want consumers counting calories, and winemakers don't want to ruin the sleek look of their bottles. Okay, so for everyone who shops at Walgreens, when I'm at Walgreens trying to figure out which bottle of wine to buy, I obviously pick the prettiest one. But I don't turn that bottle around and criticize it like a tall drink of water, because it's not water, it's obviously wine. So we have a right to know what is in our wine, such as aspartame, certain food colorings, and sulfites. And nutrition labels already have to list that. Now, if nutrition labels kept consumers from buying drink products, Coca-Cola would have been out of business a long time ago. That shit corrodes pennies. Second, consumers aren't taking on this issue. We will count calories all day, but what seems to be forgotten, like that one night where the last thing you remember is dancing on a table, are the calories that we drink. Consumers are uneducated about the broad range of ingredients in their drinks, and since drinking is so commonly referred to as sport, we view it as something we do, and ignore the reality that everything we ingest becomes a part of our diet and nutrition. It all boils down to this. Out of sight, out of mind. Really big behind. Currently, the Center for Science and Public Interest is one of the very few groups that are taking on this issue. And even now, when I discuss this issue with others, they just assume that labels already exist, because it just seems logical. So, before this party comes to an end, let's grind on some solutions. Self-education, permanent labeling, and consumer advocacy. First, no matter how hard it may be, we all need to put our drinks down for a second and think about how we can educate ourselves about the calories that we drink. We have a right to know that there are 149 calories in a Coors, or 64 calories in a single shot of tequila, according to a quick Google search. Also, knowing how many calories are in a mixed drink could deter underage drinking. Instead of telling teenagers how drinking is bad for you, it will ruin your life. Tell them to make them fat, and they'll stop tuning you out. This can be seen when looking to the National Geographic of October 2013. It says that teenagers and young people are more health conscious than ever before. And I know that after seeing my margarita, that's nearly 200 calories. I'm not in a hurry to get to numero quattro. Second, unlike the loser in your favorite drinking game, no one is going to have their head in the toilet after putting nutrition labels on alcohol bottles. Being able to look on the back of a can or bottle is not a bad thing. The Center for Science and Public Interest has petitioned the Treasury Department to require alcohol calories and content on their labels. The petition can be found on the Center's website, cspinet.org. Go and voice your support. Finally, the TTB has been a terrible DD, and they need to hear about it. If they truly want to protect businesses and consumers, they need to actively work towards making labels permanent. And if they won't, we need to find another institution that will. If only there was another institution with the sole purpose of regulating food and drugs. Oh, right, the Food and Drug Administration? Because come on, people, obviously alcohol is both a food and a drug. According to FDA.org, the FDA can regulate food and non-alcoholic beverages. But that only covers half my vodka cranberry. So today, we've looked at the problems, causes, and solutions to the lack of nutrition labels on alcohol bottles. Through consumer input, institutional efforts, and education, we can fix this blackout that is currently keeping our liquid candy label-free. Nutrition labels are required on all other prepackaged food and beverages, and the same should go for alcohol. Now, as for my friends and I, what we'll drink or not drink to that.